What's your ghost, creepy, paranormal story? My great grandmother watched my great grandfather die, and they were truly in love forever. After he died, she woke up every morning and said, "Damn it," because she was ready to pass away. My great aunts would hear her talking on the baby monitor, and they always set up to talk to family members who already passed. Finally, one afternoon, they heard her go, "John, finally, why are you always late?" They were frozen, as John was my great grandfather's name. They walked in 10 minutes later and she passed away. She was just waiting for her husband to come get her. So, guys, so basically, I don't know if we could call this creepy, as in creepy scary, but it's definitely not normal. So, one day, me and my mom decided that we were going to sleep in my room for the night. A little bit of a background: the living room is in between my room and my mom's room, impossible to get to the other without crossing the hall, right? So I was in the room and she was in the hall browsing on her laptop. She called out to me asking me to tidy up the bed so she can come in and knock out. I yelled back to her saying, "Okay, cool, but I need to use your laptop, Mom," because I needed to use hers for a bit. She said, "Okay," and she left it in the hall and started walking towards my room, where I met her in my room door. As I was heading out to grab it on the sofa, my mom was empty handed. Before I reached the hall, she yelled out to me saying, how the fuck her laptop was already on the bed. This is the exact place I was just lazing around. And she definitely did not put it in there because she walked into my room empty handed, like I said. Still, don't know how, what, or why. My mom found an old picture of me with one of my late uncles. She asked me if I remembered him. He passed away when I was really young, so unfortunately I don't remember much of him. She told me that he used to take care of me while both of my parents were at work, so we gotten really close. He was essentially another father figure for me at the time. Supposedly, my parents woken up one night by me crying and screaming his name. When they came into my room, they found me holding a picture of us, the one I mentioned earlier. They got a call from my aunt that morning that he suddenly passed away. My mom said the only other times I cried like that is when my dad had to leave for deployment. She convinced me that my uncle said goodbye to me that night. I grew up in a mobile home. When I was very little, maybe 8, I met a friend that lived in the floor. His name was Adam, and he was my best friend all that year. He wasn't there every day, and he was only there certain times of the day, usually right as I got home from school. Adam always asked me how I was and what I did that day. Sometimes he asked me to go different places of the house so he could hear me better. It usually was the bathroom. I would sit on the tub and talk to him. My brother could hear him too, but he lived in my grandparents' house and wasn't over often. Dad, I don't think, heard him, but Adam never talked when he was around. He wanted me to go outside a lot, and sometimes I did, but I never met Adam or saw him. Then one day, Adam just stopped talking, and I never heard from him again. I'm not sure if it was a ghost or a spirit of some kind. I almost hope it was. That'll be easier to swallow the very likely story that someone was under my gosh damn house. This is one my grandma used to tell one of her aunts. They lived in Laos during the Secret War. Her aunt started talking with one of the American soldiers, and he started learning basic Hmong. After some time, he stopped showing up. The basic conscience was that he was dead, but she kept waiting for him. When things got really bad and the bombs started dropping, they fled for the caves for shelter. One night, as everyone was sleeping, she hears a familiar voice. It's the soldier. He's mumbling in a very broken Hmong. "I'm back for you," over and over again. Her eyes are still closed until she feels something reach out and grab her shoulder and slowly move down to her hand. When it reached her hand, she said it wasn't human at all, but like a large animal paw. She briefly opened her eyes to see a dark figure, clearly not human though, standing over her. Then she heard her aunt get up. Something was said, but she couldn't make out what it was. The figure then left and the aunt followed. This was the middle of the night, mind you. The aunt was never seen again. The story is that the dead soldier came back to take her with him, or something else imitated him in order to take her. To clarify the story, the paw touched my grandma. I don't know why it touched her first. She knows it happened because they were all hiding and sleeping in the cave together. I'm the youngest of 2 older brothers. My middle brother had passed away in 2005, and one of my cousins had given birth to a boy a few years later. So I never seen or heard of my brother before. Fast forward to a few years more when the boy is old enough to talk. I think like 5. I guess my aunt was telling my mom that her son had an imaginary friend that he's been talking to named Michael. Now, both my aunt and my mom played it off as kids will be kids sort of thing. This was until my aunt began explaining this imaginary friend and how it had some coincidental things that directly related to my brother. First, this Michael would wake the boy up in the middle of the night wanting to play basketball. Kid didn't mind because he liked basketball too, but it was the middle of the night. Secondly, Michael tells him he has an owie and points to his throat. I'll get back to this later. Then the trippy part comes when my mom went to visit my aunt. She was sitting on the couch watching TV while my cousin and her son walked in. Her son was hesitant at first and then walked back into his room. My cousin went to my mom and told her he was being shy because he told me that is Michael's mom. I was then told that if you showed him a picture of my brother, he would point it out and say, "That's Michael." Even when I went to their house, the boy did the same thing. This time, the cousin said he whispered to me, saying, "That's Michael's brother." Here's the kicker: my brother's name is Travis Michael. He liked to play basketball in high school. He died in a freak accident in San Luis Obispo Sand Dunes while riding an ATV. It shattered his Adam's apple and basically suffocated. My cousin's son had an imaginary friend that ended up being my deceased brother. Yep, sure do. So when I was 14, my dad died. No need to be sad about it, he was an ass. When he was alive, he loved to sneak up on people and scare the shit out of them. One of the ways he'd do that is he would silently creep up and chill out in the corner of your vision until you realized that there was an asshole staring at you. After he passed away, I'd be sitting in the living room watching TV and I would see something glide up the corner of my vision across the room and stand up and stare at me in front of the entryway. I'd look over and poof, nothing there. Now, this can easily be written off as being tired, mind playing tricks on me, etc. But that isn't all of it. Dad loved to watch history and nature shows, and this was back when the History, Discovery, and A&E channels actually played decent documentaries and biographies and the like. He was an insomniac, so he stayed up late with one of those channels on, and the walls were incredibly thin. And I'd always have to beg him to turn the damn sound down so I could sleep when I was a kid. After he died, for a few months, at least once a week, I'd be in bed and all of a sudden I hear the TV in the living room. And it would be a documentary on ants, or a biography on Churchill, and other things. It spooked me, definitely. My brother wasn't doing it, because for one, he was deaf. And if he were to watch TV, he'd mute it. And also, he had his own TV. My mom worked nights and it always happened when she wasn't home. And at this point, my sister had been living on her own for quite some time. I'd get up to see what happened. Maybe the cat had turned the TV on. Yeah, but no. Max the tuxedo was usually in bed with me or outside. I'd be able to hear the TV drone on about work ants. As I made my way down the hallway, through the kitchen and the dining room to the front entry, and once I got to the spot where I could see the living room and the TV, all the noise would cease. It'd be dead silent. So quiet you could probably hear a spider fart. But wait, there's more. After he passed, the locked, chained, and dead bolted front door would open on its own to let the cat in. This happened in front of everyone at different points over the winter after Daryl Dad had kicked the bucket. But the thing that really got to me is this event I'm about to tell you about. I was down in the basement one night watching TV. My mom was home and in the living room. Whenever she needed me, she stomped on the floor to get my attention. And that night, she stomped something furious. I raced upstairs, and she's sitting in the chair with a wooden TV tray table in front of her. On the table was a styrofoam cup. It was shaking violently. There were no open windows. There were no fans. I picked up that fucking cup and checked it for wires or string. Absolutely fucking nothing was attached to it, making the damn thing move. I put it back on the table, and it would shake again. Mom, of course, is saying it has to be Dad doing it, and nothing else. The creepy visions, the cat coming through the bolted and chained front door, the documentaries about the ants being heard through hours of the night freaked me out. As much as that damn cup freaked me out. I know my mom wasn't doing it. I checked and I double checked. The table was perfectly flat on the floor, didn't wobble. There wasn't a way to make that cup move. And not the table itself. It just thoroughly spooked me. And my mom kept saying it had to be my dad. He was a tricker, yada, yada, yada. So I just shouted, "If that's my dad, knock it the fuck off." And it stopped. I didn't even finish saying it when the cup stopped shaking. After the cup incident, the cat had to wait for a real life human to open the door for him. I heard no documentaries in the middle of the night, and I didn't ever see dad creep up in the corner of my vision to stare at me. It sounds like her dad just wanted them to recognize that he was there. And once she acknowledged it, he was okay with that. Anyways, with that being said, if you made it to the end, thank you so much. If you have any creepy stories, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to read them. Y'all have a good rest of y'all day and God bless. Bye.